Hello and welcome to Wingin It. And once again we are back here with another game from the Wingspan World Cup. This is our second game of the first round best of 3 matchup. And yeah, this is going to be another post-commentated game, so we're hopefully going to get some insights into the decision making as this game unfolds. So yeah, as we went first in game 1, we are going to go second here in game 2. Having won that first game, we are just one win away from the second round, so let's hope we can get off to a good start. Let's take a look at what is in the starting hand. And okay, that is not a particularly great looking starting hand. Not really got the wetland card draw that we were blessed with in game 1. We kind of had all the options there, and we've got none of the options here. And worst of all, we got a Black-headed Gull in the tray, going second. Which means I know my opponent's going to be picking that up, and they are going to be terrorizing me in this first round. So I'm trying to plan out a way to almost defend against this Black-headed Gull and maybe put myself in a position where I actually don't have any food, and then they can't take any food off me. So that is one of the ways to try and defend against this Black-headed Gull. It can only steal food off you if you have food to steal. So yeah, stopping yourself from having food, spending those turns, doing other things, laying eggs, drawing cards, playing birds, that could be a good way to do it. So yeah, only the Woodstalker's that one wetland bird, so kind of have to keep that. And no fish in the feeder means that the only wetland bird in the tray, not really an option, that Anhinga for us. So yeah, it's going to be Woodstalk, but then we've got this Griffin Vulture and the Sparrowhawk, which both don't need any food, and they both kind of synergize with each other. So Griffin Vulture does have potential throughout the rest of this game to get a lot of points if you can build out some Predator powers around it. That can definitely work. So yeah, what I'm anticipating here, what I'm expecting from my opponent, is they're going to pick up the Gull and play it on that second turn. So on their third turn, that's when they're going to start stealing food from me. So I need to make sure that on that turn I don't have any. And so that's how I've planned this out, to yeah, go and take food on this first turn, get that final bit of food that I need for the Woodstalk. We can get that down, and then that's all my food gone. And in theory, I don't need any more food for the rest of this round. I can lay eggs, I can draw cards, look at getting the Sparrowhawk down, play the Vulture, and I'm going to have a bird in each habitat, so potentially scoring points from this end of round as well. So yeah, bit of a strange opening, bit of a strange start, gotta say. No brown powers. We'll see what we can do, but yeah, I think this works as an opening, and maybe a little bit defensive too. But my opponent goes a bit rogue here, so Eastern Kingbird, definitely wasn't expecting that to go down. So yeah, for sure, that is going to get the A-worm, but if I can maybe put off when the Sparrowhawk goes down, that is going to help. So we'll start with the Woodstalk. Ecologist is a great pickup. So yeah, along with the Dark Specialist that we started with, a couple of pretty decent bonus cards. So could potentially be looking at a lot of points there. Of course, in that game 1, if you did watch that, we got some pretty good bonus cards. We scored a lot of points there. So I think sometimes in these tricky games where you're not really sure what to do, going for those bonus cards, especially if you can pick up some good ones, like I say, can be a good setup to have. So yeah, opponent's laying some eggs. So yeah, at this point I was really sort of just trying to work out what they're doing, just trying to assess their situation, and in terms of how they're playing this, and they're going with a common grackle. So yeah, I kind of know, of course, that third bird in their hand is that Black-headed Gull. And I mean, Black-headed Gull and common grackle is just such a devastating combo in the wetlands. You're getting cards, you're getting eggs, you're getting points through the tuck cards, and you're getting food through the Black-headed Gull. So yeah, definitely I'm expecting them to get that down. But maybe part of this is my defensive play. Maybe the fact I've not got any food has been putting them off going for the skull. So I was trying to work out, as this was playing out, whether I'd maybe made a mistake, whether maybe if I'd you know, read too much, or tried to anticipate and overanalyze how my opponent was going to play this. But yeah, looking back, I think there is definitely a case where perhaps just some of this defensive play did put them off a little bit. So yeah, we've laid our eggs, we've drawn some cards, we got some okay stuff. I mean, you know, the Woodcock is nice, does hit the bonus card. It's just a bit expensive. Yeah, trying to get the food for some of these birds, especially if we're going to hit Dark Specialist, that is going to be expensive. That is going to be difficult. So I think it is one I'll try and keep hold of, and sort of aspire to playing it maybe later in the game. So my opponent doing some digging of their own. And yeah, we played the vulture before the sparrowhawk just to delay that worm 1 turn. It might not have made a huge difference, but sometimes those little things, as I say, in this early game do help. So we will play the sparrowhawk now. Yeah, 2 turns left. I think it would probably be laying eggs twice. We definitely want to lay eggs once. And then the problem becomes that we can't draw cards and discard an egg because we'll miss the end of round goal. So hitting this end of round goal is key for me, being able to get the points there. And I think getting those extra eggs down is actually going to help. Going into the next round, we can dig for a little bit longer and use up some of these eggs. So yeah, we'll go ahead and lay eggs once. And you'll see my opponent, they played another forest bird. So yeah, I got to say, I was definitely not expecting such a strong forest build-up with the Black-headed Gull in their hands. So I think they did go for food on this turn indeed. So yeah, they're very clearly setting themselves up to get this Black-headed Gull down with a couple of worms. So got to be ready for that to come in. And still in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, okay, try and maybe restrict the amount of food you have on those turns when they are perhaps going to go and draw cards. So there we go, we get some more eggs down and we get our first cash on the Griffin Vulture. So we know there's going to be at least 4 of those because we'll get 1 per round. But maybe with some additional hunters, we can get some more. So straight away in the second round trade, Harriet and Morning Dove available for me. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and grab those. So Morning Dove, I'm thinking that could be a pretty good bird to get in the forest. I could start getting some more food, but also get some eggs at the same time because, you know, eggs are points, but they're going to be helpful to play some of these other birds, hopefully some big point ones that we can pick up as this game goes on. Because yeah, we're not really building out that grassless engine, which can make things a bit more difficult. So Black-headed Gull does go down. Better late than never, I think, in this position. But we're going to look and draw some cards again here because Great Prairie Chicken, again, like I said, sometimes when you don't know what to do, just going for bonus cards is a good shout. We pick up the yellow throat as well. This was in my mind to maybe build out more of a wetlands and do a bit of digging, but after I drew it, I kind of thought to myself, I'm not sure I need this. I'm probably in a position where I just work with what I've got and try and play some of this stuff. So unfortunately, at the same time as picking up the yellow throat, we do reveal ruby-throated hummingbird, which yeah, is pretty much a dream bird to come up in this situation for my opponent. But they do hold off drawing it, so I think they're the ones showing the patience here and just waiting and yeah, letting me get a bit of food before they draw cards. So I did toy with the idea of picking up the hummingbird, but I think in this position, yeah, if I pick it up, it's only to deny. And with the center round goal, with you know, trying to get all these birds down, I don't think I can draw cards again at this round. So yeah, as I said, yellow throat was definitely an aspirational pickup, but we changed our mind, we ditch it. I think getting this extra food, especially as I say with this end of round food in personal supply, I think we just need a complete 180 here. So we've gone through this whole game so far not having any food, and now we're going to sort of flip it around and do the other way that can sort of counter the Black-headed Gull, although maybe not quite as effectively, and that's just to have loads of food. So you've got the 2 ends of the spectrum that I think both work well against the Black-headed Gull. Where you don't want to be is in the middle, where you've only got 1 or 2 food at a time, and they're constantly stealing the exact food you need. That's where it's really, really painful and really difficult playing against the Black-headed Gull. So there we go, they start stealing, already taking some food off me. Luckily, I do make sure I can keep at least 1 seed there. That's the important thing. And yeah, we can play this Morning Dove. We're going to get it down in the forest, as I said. So yeah, definitely late, kind of borderline whether it's still you know, worth playing a 0-point bird. I think sort of going into the end of this second round, and you can see the points total, it's not looking particularly healthy, but yeah, I think it was necessary in this position to get it down, like I say, get a bit more food, get some points while I'm doing it, and hopefully pick up some food. I mean, we've got these big point birds, prairie chicken, woodcock. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting those down. And yeah, hummingbird's in play now. So as I say, really good for my opponent. They're going to be getting food, and they're kind of forcing me to have food. So they'll give me a food with a hummingbird, and then they can just steal it straight away with the Gull. So yeah, definitely frustrating, but I've just got to make sure I make the most of that free food. And again, I'm going to say it again, having these big point birds, these high food cost birds, where I'm trying to hit diet specialists as well, Getting this free food is oh so important. So yeah, we are going to get even more free food. So I think my opponent, they're just doing their digging. You know, they get a couple of points a turn with the grackle, get some eggs as well. Just gather some food, and yeah, I'm sure they'll be thinking the same as me. Try and get those foods for the big point birds, but also they'll be thinking a little bit about this end of round. Try and at least challenge them. You know, the more food they have, the more it forces me to take food and stops me from playing another bird. I think in an ideal situation, we might look to try and get this Harrier down this round, because Griffin Vulture, we want more caches. Unfortunately, every single time we're going for food and re-rolling, there are just no rodents around. So yeah, it does put me in a little bit more of a difficult position. Not really sure I could be forcing it down here with 2 food. That could easily cause an end of round goal swing in my opponent's favour, and that is a big swing to be giving away at this stage of the game. So yeah, it might be something that we look to next round, but as I say, we can just sort of keep ticking along, keep picking up food. I'm sort of picking up all this fish, not just because it's there, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, when's Atlantic Puffin going to come up in the tray? You've got to be ready, maybe to snag that kind of bird and play it, and yeah, it'd just be a perfect pick up and play in this sort of position. So we're going to keep going on these rerolls and keep missing rodents. So really don't know what was up with the feeder here. As I say, quite frustrating, but at the very least, we're getting worms, we're getting seeds. That's what we're looking for to play these 2 other big point birds in our hands. So yeah, that's what we're going to be looking to go for, and we're looking good on this end of round. So as I say, we're getting 2 food a turn. My opponent, they're still getting 2 in the turn in their wetlands, but they have to give me 1. So I've always got the upper hand there, as long as I keep taking food, which of course I am going to keep doing. Keep picking up this food I need bit by bit, and just being patient, biding my time, hoping that a rodent appears at some point. But yeah, pretty confident that I can get these birds down. And you know, looking again to that next end of round goal, these can all go in the grasslands, so we can potentially set ourselves up nicely there. So there we go. Opponent does play something. I think, as I say, if I'd played something, they could have just drawn, got some more food, and won that end of round. So it was a tricky position, but yeah, having all this food now, as I say, does set me up nicely going into this next round, because I think we can challenge. I think we can get lots of birds down here. Bluebird was in the tray, so yeah, opponent goes and snags that. I don't think that's a huge surprise. Double plays, always nice. Clear out the egg space, get extra points, use up this food, and hit the centre round goal. So plenty of good reasons to be going for a bird like the mountain bluebird there. But yeah, for me, it's just about getting some food. We're finally getting some rodents. They're all coming up at once, so I'll take it. You know, who knows? Maybe some more rodent-eating birds are going to come up in the tray, and hopefully, if those can hit Griffin Vulture, it's going to be very handy. And yes, that was a little bit of foreshadowing there with the hawk and the screech owl. No messing about. We're just going to pick those up. So yeah, both easy to get down. You know, both going to help this Griffin Vulture, and maybe just maybe we can start pivoting a little bit into a grasslands here. We've got the hawk, we've got the harrier. You know, even the woodcock and the prairie chicken. We could maybe fill out this grasslands completely in this round, win the end of round goal, and we're going to have lots of egg space. So again, this is the sort of point of the game as we transition into this late game where I'm starting to think, okay, what is my end game approach here? What is my strategy? What am I going to spend my turns doing? And we might be in a position where we actually have enough egg space where we just play a bunch of birds this round, we win the end of round goal, maybe see what that prairie chicken bonus card is, and then just lay eggs in the final round. And you know, it's not a bad engine, all things considered, if we're getting 4 eggs, and then maybe the harrier, and then maybe the red-tailed hawk as well. You know, there's a couple of chances of some tucks, so you're looking at maybe a 6-point engine, all things considered, and of course, Griffin Vulture caches coming into play as well. So yeah, this little bit of free food that keeps coming through, as I say, I do not mind it one bit, because all this free food is going to help me play these birds. I might not need to take food again. That might have been the round 2 approach, was just take all the food and play all the birds in this round 3. And yeah, we've got a good number of worms, good number of seeds. Like I said, I think prairie chicken, woodcock, and then maybe even this harrier can go down. So we'll go with the prairie chicken first of all, I think, here, just to see what the bonus card is. That might dictate our approach a little bit. So yeah, we're going to get that down, of course, in the grasslands. Helpful for this end of round. And yeah, hopefully get a good bonus card, and we do indeed. Ethologist is an excellent pickup here. 6 points, easy peasy, and don't need to do anything else for it. So yeah, that was very nice. That was very satisfying. Of course, lower bound on Diet Specialist done as well. So really good stuff. We might look at playing this Woodcock as well before laying eggs again. Of course, want to try and get as many eggs as we can. So opponent really building out their own grasslands. I think they're trying to push for this end of round as well. But we're going to come fighting back with the big point birds. So yeah, just through the lack of worms, I think my opponent had been stealing a lot from me. Playing that bluebird, playing that warbler. They needed worms. So whenever I was gaining them, they were just getting stolen right back. So as I say, bit of forcing. We'll use up some of this fish. Maybe Puffin isn't going to show up anymore. But I think it's worth getting this down. I think it's worth the force here. We'll still have 2 food left over, so for sure we'll be able to play the Harrier at the very least, and then only 1 more food, and maybe that Screech Owl, maybe that comes into play as well, especially as I say with the Griffin Vulture and with that final end of round coming up. So yeah, we've got some decisions to make. Sort of thinking for this Harrier as well. I'm trying to work out. Maybe that's better in the wetlands because, of course, you save an egg. I get an extra 2 points off the Ecologist bonus card as well by having another bird down there. I've got to weigh that up versus, is it going to help me for this end of round? Is it maybe going to get some hunts from that Predator power in the final round when I am laying eggs? So, yeah, with that kind of decision, I'd rather put it off as much as possible. So we are going to go ahead and play this Woodcock first. Also, yeah, that just builds up this grasslands 1 extra spot. Doesn't have a brown power, but we're going to get the extra eggs. So that's the important thing for me. And yeah, 2 turns left here, so we can lay eggs. And because we're going second in this round, we can wait and see. If my opponent plays another grassland bird, we can just respond with the Harrier. If they don't play another grassland bird, we know we've won the end of round anyway. So we can then make that decision with all the information we have available to us. Do we want to stick in the grasslands? Do we want to stick in the wetlands? Or maybe just lay eggs another time. So we are going to lay eggs here. We're going to get a hunt on the hawk. So we'll take that. It's a point. And yeah, in this sort of weird game where I'm sort of looking with envy over at my opponent's board because they've got all the good brown powers and they've got a really good setup. My board looks a bit funky. I'll take every point I can get. So yeah, these Predator powers, you always like to see those hitting, I think, especially as you come here into this late game. So yeah, it's crunch time here. Last turn of the round, what does my opponent do? They play another bird. So we are tied on this end of round goal. And that to me is the signal that yes, we do want to play this Harrier. We're going to do the force. And yeah, we're going to put it in the grasslands here because that's going to win us the end of round. So yeah, very nice. Bit of a strange play, a late Harrier like this. But as I say, when you're getting extra end of round goal points, when you're getting extra caches off this Griffin Vulture as well, and then you've got the potential for hunts for some extra points in that final round, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, all things considered. So very nice, get that down. And yeah, Griffin Vulture suddenly getting 3 caches. So that's very nice. And we know we're going to get at least another 3 in that last round. So there we go. So win in the end of the round. We come into the final round. Is there anything nice in the tray? No. Do we care? No. We have a clear endgame. So like I said, we've got lots of egg space here. We're just going to be laying eggs. We're getting some success with the Predators. Bit of a mixed bag there. But yeah, I think the end game is clear. So unfortunately, we can't lay eggs every single turn. So you'll see we have 4 turns left. We have 14 egg spaces. If we laid eggs every turn, that is going to be 16 eggs. So we don't have space for that. So we are hoping for a free food to come through so we can at least play Screech Owl. Maybe helps the end of round. And right on cue, the free food does come through. So yeah, we've got a choice between a worm and a rat. 100% expecting that whatever I take, it will just get stolen. So it was nice to have both there and not really have to think too hard about trying to mind game my opponent into stealing a food that I didn't want so I could replace it with a food that I did want. So yeah, take the worm, get it stolen. It's a rat. Doesn't matter. We can still play this creature, but we'll hold off because again, don't need to reveal my hand too early. I can just keep laying eggs. We're going to hope for some success on the hunts. Not to be this turn. Those are not the birds you want to be trying to eat with your Predator powers. But yeah, my opponent, I think their endgame seems quite straightforward as well. They got a pretty good grasslands here. They got some cards to tuck on the blackbird, so I'm expecting them to lay eggs a lot, but they do also have some big point birds. So yeah, Prothonotary Warbler, good for this end around. That does make me think a little bit about, you know, are we going to be able to challenge here? But to be honest, there's not too much we can do. I think the end game is yeah, straightforward, just going to be laying eggs and playing the owl. So a little bit better on that term. We are getting some success off the predators. And yeah, as I say, with the Screech Owl, not the greatest play, not the flashiest of plays. Only 4 points, of course, we lose an egg, but we gain another point back off the Griffon Vulture. So maybe it'll have something to say in the centre round goal. But who knows, maybe my opponent has still got one final forest bird up their sleeve to be going and playing. So yeah, we think about laying eggs there. We play the Screech Owl. In hindsight, I probably should have just laid eggs. This does give them another worm on their kingbird, which potentially that might come into play if they have got another forest bird. So you know, maybe you want to put that off and force them to think twice. But you know, it kind of goes both ways. I think equally, if I'd laid eggs and played the owl, they still get that worm before their final turn. So I don't think it made a difference. But yeah, it's sometimes those little things can matter. So final turn, laying eggs, much better. Predators hitting both times. So as I say, definitely not really sure which way this game is going to go. My board looks like an absolute mess, so I'm not feeling too confident. So every little bit helps with those predator powers. And indeed, my opponent does. Win the end of round. It is the Nutcracker, so the worm thankfully didn't matter. But there we go. They do sneak the end of round. But we get another 4 caches of the Griffon Vulture. Very, very nice stuff. Yeah, here we go into the final score. So, as I say, I had no idea. I was really not feeling that good. You know, they did only have 1 bonus card, so I knew this is where maybe I could pull some points back. We are still a little bit behind. End of round goals, of course, were strong for us. So that puts us in a good position. Plenty of eggs for us both, I think, but we do pull a bit of a lead, and look at that, 9 caches off the Griffon Vulture. So it's a few tuck cards at the end, and we managed to hold on, and it is 100 points, and I have no idea how I scored 100 points in this game, because like I say, this board is an absolute mess. But some decent bonus cards. Ethologist, definitely a nice pickup. Bird counter for my opponent, very, very nice as well. But yeah, like I said, I think it was just all that free food from the hummingbirds, keeping those big point birds, picking them up while they were there, trying to go for the predators that really synergized with that early Griffon Vulture. Using that free food to the best of my ability, getting the big point birds down. And it was able to get us the win in the end, so I will take it. And yeah, as I say, best of 3 game, we've won in 2, so we don't even need that game 3. We are going straight through into the next round. So yeah, if you want to see that round 2 game, please do hit that subscribe button. Please do stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.